determine your energy. Whatever planet is in here is your possessions, worldly possessions. This is a house of relationships, which is an air sign, of course, but that's Gemini. That's where Gemini lies on the wheel. This is the houses that we're looking at. But they relate to the zodiac signs exactly. That's why I have Gemini in there. Yes? House of what? House of what, sweetie?
Where's the house of birth?
You mean when you're born? Right here on the ascendant line, that's where you come in at. Okay? Yes, that's where the sun rises, okay? And the sun gives you life because the sun sparks life on the planet, right? Right? Nothing could grow.
And that water doesn't.
Right, so the sun gives you the same life and allows you to grow also. And every year when it's your, what we call your solar return, your sun return, or your birthday, right? The sun is coming back to visit you to give you more life and to strengthen you and to make things grow even more every single year. But it actually does that for about 30 days, not just the one day. It stays in wherever your sign is for about 30 days. Okay? Yeah, how about that? That's a long time that it does that, and it gets everybody who's in that sign. So yes, that's where your life is. All right, so we were at air sign, house of relationships. I put Gemini there so you could relate that that's where Gemini is, but we're talking about the houses right now. However, this house is the house of is a house of relationships. There are 3 of them. But, I'm sorry, yeah, 3 of them. Right. But it is in Gemini because this house happens to be concerned about how you relate or communicate with air to your relatives and neighbors. Not your partners. Partners is in the 7th house. This is relatives and neighbors. So when you look at your chart, whatever's in there, that's how you're going to deal with relatives and neighbors. Whatever planet is there, whatever aspect is there, good, bad, and different.
We got to learn about the personality of the planets first.
Next. Houses first, planets next. Got to tell you, if I tell you about the planets, that's one thing, but I got to tell you about the houses that they live in. This is what? Foundational. Okay? Because each house, of course, has a ruling planet that is assigned to that house. For instance, this house, which is Gemini, we already know is ruled by Mercury, right? But there are 2 planets in the whole system that govern 2 houses. That's how you know all our planets never could be home at the same time, because Venus governs 2 houses. She governs the 2nd house of possessions, which is where Taurus is, likes to hang out at. And she also governs the 7th house, which is of partnerships, a house of relations, right? So she likes to hang out there too. So in the travel of your natal chart, Venus owns those 2 houses, if I could break it down like that. She happens to own 2, and Mercury owns 2 houses. The real estate, you know, they got more than 1 house.
What city is he on again?
Venus is 2nd house and 7th house.
Yeah.
And Mercury is 3rd house, which is where Gemini is. And what did I say? Oh, in 6. Mercury rules Virgo. Now, see that? That's how that goes. And where's Venus? Right here, just over that. So that's why, as I was saying earlier, all planets couldn't be at home, but these are their houses, their essence is there, they rule them. So this house of relationships is going to deal with whatever planet falls there or sign that falls there. Is going to affect how you deal with your relatives and your neighbors. Yes?
Now, how do we know which planet control which house or govern which house? Did I miss that?
That we're getting into the planets next.
Okay.
Okay? Right. I'm glad you're thinking there, because that's just where we're going. Right now we're talking about their houses. Then we get into them, who they are. There you go. And then the signs. And then you pull it all together. Okay? Oh, and then, of course, the physical body, which is health. Very important. All right, so yeah, we're going to get there. And all I'm saying is that when you do find out, you got to find out what the planets do, who they are, and then find out where they were when you were born. Then you'll know what house they were in. Because oftentimes, even you do astrology and you'll say, oh, okay, you know, I'm a Virgo or whatever I am, and, you know, some astrologer might say, oh, you're something is in the conflicting with the second house, and you're like, what is a house? This is a house. This controls your relatives, how you deal with relatives and neighbors. This house here, which is a house, is a house. I say a house of endings because they're categorized. Remember, we have endings, we have houses of life, we have houses of wealth, and we have houses of relationships. So this is a house of ending, and you will find a correlation that all houses of endings are, as I mentioned, belong to water signs. All houses of life are going to be belonging to a fire sign or the home of a fire sign. Sign, I didn't say planet, sign. And they have their ruling planet, which we'll get into next. So since everybody sees, you know what the signs are, that's how they break down. And of course the elements, that comes up when the signs come up right after the planets. So you'll know what the qualities of the signs are as well, and the elements that are attached to the signs. And then the cardinal, fixed, and succedent, we already know, is attached because that was the foundation when the sun came in. Now, house of ending, Cancer. Why? What does it govern? You have heard Cancer's is the house of home, but you see I have latter years right there, right? And I told you that throughout this, I'm going to give you both. I'm going to give you, people shorten it because it's easier to just shorten it that way. Just like they say Gemini governs the arms and the hands. Well, it really goes the arms, the hands, the shoulders, upper part of the lung, the collarbone. You know what I mean? They shorten it. So that's what happened here. The house of endings, the house of home, which is the fourth house, which is Cancer, which would determine, it actually is what determines your latter years. Because your home base affects where you're going to be in the end. Right? Okay? And also any other issues of home. Home, surroundings, domestic life is right there. Your house of home. Or your house of latter years. And they're a water sign. The deep stuff they worry about is how they're going to end, where they're going to be in the latter years. The home, the family, it's where the nurturing is. The children, the house is governed, I can tell you now, by the moon, which is fecundation, impregnation, Mother Moon. Now, we go to Leo. This is a house of life. It is the house of creativity, and you'll often hear it attached to children because creating children is an act of children, or having children is an act of creation. Right? So that's your house of creativity. Then you have another house of wealth, which is Virgo. Virgo is the house of wealth, just like Taurus was the house of wealth. This deals with, and I'm glad we're going to Virgo because Virgo has a lot, and it's the opposite of Pisces. And you'll see, I told you I analyze because that's what they do. They analyze everything. They're very exacting. But also employment, which is the same as service. You'll see service attached to Virgo sometimes. Well, service and employment is the same thing. The interesting part is that they do service. They're worried about being paid for their service. Whereas their opposite, which is the Pisces, will do a lot of service with no money, for no remuneration. That's the type of person they are, right? They do a lot. You find they do so much for people because they basically have a sorrowfulness about them. They're a house of sorrows because they know that this material world is meaningless. So everything is always correlated, which is why, once again, when I told you that if you learn the 6 signs and their opposites, it'll help you a whole lot when going to the level of the houses, the planets, and anything else. because they are always 180-degree polar reflections of themselves, always. And okay, what level? It doesn't change, never changes. So, and same thing with, because I can just go through the 6 signs. I don't have to go through all 12 because they're all connected. So, for instance, home of life, which is creativity, children, which is actually Leo, and then you got Aquarius, and I have used as friends. But actually, I didn't put it down. It's true. They are friends, hopes, and wishes, higher aspirations. But this would be on a higher level. If you could get with this would be children of the mind. The children of the mind are your friends, your hopes, your wishes, kind of connected to the children, physical, with Leo. Okay? Now, Virgo again, employment, service. Service, employment, same thing that they're talking here. But definitely, because they're the house of wealth, they want to know how they're going to get paid for their employment, for what they do, the service they get. With no question. They'll figure it out. If you can't figure it out, they'll figure it out for you how you should pay them. Excuse me, people laughing because it's true. It's true. It's true. And also health. And now they're associated with health because Mercury rules them. And Mercury, you ever seen the staff? I didn't bring it with me, or did I? No, I didn't. It's the medical staff. Yeah. And it has the resemblance of Mercury because they're associating it with Mercury. I say, now this is strictly my interpretation thus far from the correlation of employment and health, other than the fact that Mercury just happens to own 2 houses and rule a couple things here, including thought. And I believe that is it, and now I'm sure of it. At this moment, I've come to this realization with you, which is great, is that when you worry about things, it ruins and can destroy your health. Now, I think I'm really right now because Mercury rules thought and reasoning mind, which is thinking. That's the only one I couldn't actually, it's just like you could own 2 houses. One is in East Coast and one is West, just because that's what you want to do. But I know, without that, and we all know, and I want to impart this to you, that all of this is based on an exacting true science, and it has rhyme, and it has reason, and it has season. And rhyme converts to rhythm. Reason is thought, and season is manifestation.
There is a book that's out that correlates thought patterns.
Yes.
Specific diseases in the body.
Oh, wait till I get...
Certain, sometimes
Yeah.
you get nervous about something.
Yes.
And it affects your stomach. You get the butterflies in your stomach. Thoughts are things.
Well, it's interesting you say that, and I don't want to jump the gun because it's going to be a lot of fun looking at the health thing. It's going to blow your mind. You got to see this. But I will say this, since we're talking about Mercury and we're talking about thinking and worrying, guess what part of the body Virgo governs? The stomach. Okay? So now we're tying this in even more because, like I said, it has a rhyme, it has rhythm, it has thought, and it has a season. Yes.
What are the other signs go to?
I'm going to show them all in one time. We're going to read right across it in a minute, and I'll show you, okay? And I got this nice drawing of this body that tells you which each sign is. Yours is feet, and you're the opposite of stomach, by the way. You're the opposite of Virgo. Okay, so then we go to Libra, which is, this rules, now this is interesting, because I really did some research on this one. This is a house of relationships, governed by Libra, which all houses of relationships are going to be air signs, all of them. There's only 3 air signs, there's 3 houses of relationships. They belong together, is what that means. This is your partnership, coalitions, relationships, unions. And what I found even more interesting, and I think I put it in one of these graphs, is who you will mix your blood with, as opposed to your friends or anything else. That's what the partnership means. That's why some guys will meet women and they say, oh, there's a Libra, she wanted to get married. Who you will mix your blood with is this house, the 7th house of unity and balance. Okay? When you're doing a chart, look and see who's in your 7th house. Because it pretty much is going to be, it's going to affect your house of relationships. You're either going to be attracted to that person, or the person in that house is a negative influence to you because maybe it doesn't like Venus or something like that. Like Mars and Venus. They are, well, I won't say that because they're actually total 180-degree opposites, so they definitely attract because your opposite attract. Your best mate is your opposite. Your best is your opposite. Because it is, or your reflection, I'm sorry, because it is a reflection of you. That is truly the first marriage. And even if you read the Zodiac Constitution by C.M. Bay, he tells you that. Your first marriage is the 180-degree polar reflection. Your second marriage are the angle signs. Okay? I can tell you what they are. Just give me one couple.
You look at the complement?
Yes, that means they're complementary, and that's your first and best mate. So if you are a Leo, Aquarius. If you're a Gemini, no, I can't remember this. It's Sagittarius. If you're an Aries, it's Libra. If you're see, this is how you remember this. I'm going to remember 6 times, and now I don't have to worry about the rest. Aries is Libra. Taurus is Scorpio. You help me out if I get lost. Gemini is Sagittarius. Cancer is Capricorn. Virgo is Pisces, and that's it. That's all I have to remember. Yes.
But how can you say that if that's just your sun sign? I mean, I heard you say earlier, like, even your ascendant is more of your personality. And your sun sign, that's just like your life force and your energy.
No, I said whoever is in your 7th house, when you do your natal chart, whoever is in the 7th house, which is the house of relationships. However, okay, when you do your natal chart, whichever one is sitting in the 7th house, whichever planet or sign is sitting in the 7th house, will have dominion or have effect over who you will look for or choose as a partner. Really, that's what I'm saying. Or have some effect in your life where partnerships are concerned. Be it a bad marriage or a good marriage or whatever it is, it's going to affect it. But back to your ascendant sign, very interesting question. The ascendant is going to represent who you are physically attracted to, but that does not mean that that is the best mate for you. And that's where a lot of people are right now. They go and whatever's on your ascendant in your chart, you're attracted to that type of body because the 1st house represents body. Interesting, isn't it? So, now, who are you going to mix your blood with? Partnerships, that type of relationship. So the first air sign is Gemini that says, okay, I'm concerned about, the 1st house of relationships says, okay, I'm concerned about neighbors and relatives. And then the other air sign is, what did I miss one? Oh, well, Libra, who says, I'm concerned about who I'm mixing my blood with. And then when you go over here to Aquarius, their concern is about their friends. All relationships, but 3 different kinds. Okay? Now we go to Scorpio, house of endings, exits and legacies. I found it interesting that this is the house of partners, but Scorpio is concerned about the way in which they are going to exit this world. That's why they're the house. It says it is a house of endings, but when you look at it on the zodiac wheel, it will say death and regeneration, which is an ending. But on the house, remember, we're looking at the houses now. The house is a house of endings, and it represents how you will exit the world. And actually, it represents legacies, meaning...
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, I'm a Scorpio.
Well, that's what legacies are.
Yeah, I don't be thinking about how much.
No.
I've been thinking about...
You're thinking about...
Like,
yeah, what I got to do.
Yeah.
What I got to do when I exit this world. When I exit, how am I going to leave the situation? Right? That's what it means, how you will exit this world. But it comes down in our world to legacies.
Yeah, legacies. And
actually it goes, this is partners. I guess if you're worried about this governs in someone else's life who's not a Scorpion, their partner's money.
Say that again one more time.
This house, the 8th house, whatever is in the 8th house, governs your partner's money.
Now, you mean my mate?
Yeah, partner, business partner, doesn't have to be me.
Oh, okay.
Partner's money. Right?
Hey, that's good.
Well, no, it's just interesting because here we have the house of, we have partners, and then we go into legacy. See, a legacy is what is left to you.
Right.
You know, will, or, you know, property that's willed to you or whatever. So this represents your partners, or partners, plural, money. That's what is concerned here.
Okay.
Now, this has stuff in it that's really, really, planets in it that are really, like Jupiter, which is expanding. Then what that probably means is that when you're going to have a lot of money willed to you at some point in your life. Or win the lottery often, or whatever. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? That's what it represents. Or actually, because Jupiter is the planet of expansion and luck, I'm saying if it were replaced there, you would have a good
Chance of winning.
right, and there will be legacies left to you. This is what I'm saying. Whether it's your partners or the lotto, I don't know. Okay, and then you go to the next last house of life before coming out, and that's Sagittarius. And it's interesting, it's the house of learning and aspiring. It's a fire house, you know, the burning desire to learn, right? Yeah, right. And across from that is a Gemini. Gemini says, I think, they say, I see. Oh, I see. Or I aspire. Thinking, like I said, you can't aspire unless you can think. So then you have another house, the last house of wealth, most interesting, the Capricorn. The Capricorn is the goat that's climbing up the mountain constantly, you know, never losing his footing, and that's because they're worried about social status, public esteem. What does that mean? It's a house of wealth. Now, look at this correlation. First house of wealth is worried about worldly possessions, personal possessions, right? The second house of wealth is worried about how they're going to get them. That's Virgo, with employment. How am I going to get the possessions? And then the last house of wealth says, well, how am I going to enjoy it? You got the correlation now? Okay. So, and then Aquarius I already kind of went over when I went over with Leo. They're basically about friends and about employers' money, because that helps them with their life in terms of, you know, how they can enjoy or have their hopes, wishes, and dreams. Actually, they represent altruism, total love for people, which is where we are in the age anyway, you know, spiritual love. And then Pluto, House of Endings is bad. Neptune governs that. And that's Pisces, that's a spirit. They're into the spiritual. You know, they actually are very, very intuitive. They're deep, as we say, deep waters. They have a sorrow about them. Now, the interesting thing that I'm going to tie in with them and their opposite Virgo again, because I told you there's a lot going on. And every study I've done and everything I've done, I don't care what it is, Pisces and Virgo have the lengthiest stuff. But that's because, again, Mercury rules them, and you know, you got two things going on here in Virgo, employment and health. Now we understand what this correlation is. You'll see people that say that Pisces is the house of sorrows. You'll see people that say it's a house of confinement, it's a house of self-undoing, and things like that. Think about it for a minute. If this is a house of secrets, that's what undoes that's what undoes you. That is your self-undoing, is the secrets that you keep, right? Your confinements will come, and confinements means, interesting enough, Pisces governs confinements that include jail houses or hospitals, because those are confinements, aren't they? Whereas Virgo, it's opposite, might get sick because it's ahead of health, and then Pisces will decide what type of confinement you will have if you do get sick. It's governed. You got the correlation? There's a correlation there. And so your sorrows, your secrets, and your self-undoing may land you into a confinement that's jail, you know, or the hospital. So we're going to move off of this because I think we got this, that these are the houses, and these are the facets of your life that the houses control. Planets. Okay. Let's do this one. Oh, that's the signs. Got to get to the planet and then the signs real quick, okay? So here are the planets. Actually, I don't have, I think that's in there, in the book. Is there a description of the planets? Sure ought to be. Because I don't think I made a,
Yeah, you got a table count.
okay, yeah. Page number 6. Unfortunately, I didn't put a, actually, this should go this way. Oh, we can't read it that way. All right, that's okay. We don't need to read it that way. Let me say this. This is good, because now we're getting into the true theory, not theory, oh boy, don't say theory, reality of how this thing works with the polars. Because whatever good quality you have, you better believe you also possess the other side. And that's where people get things backwards. You ever meet a person that's kind, sweet, oh, don't bother nobody. But then you mess with them, and they act 180-degree polar opposite of what they appear to be because they possess it, and so do you.
Just as good as you be, just as bad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in life, if you would take that and apply it to your life, you'll never say that something is so bad. Because it's a matter of what side of the pole are you on. You've heard people say, what side of the pole are you on? The polar. What side of the pole are you on? Is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? Is an applicable nature. It really is. And it will keep you from moving forward if you do not recognize the fact. Because it will keep you with the excuses of why and who and where and when all the time. But it will free you if you understand that whatever just happened, there is an equal and opposite reaction. It was there. Maybe you didn't catch it this time, but it existed. The silver lining behind every cloud is true. It's a lesson for you. So, any vanity that people have is also discarded when they learn the science of the astrology. What I was trying to say is, we were talking about what was governing what. The moon governs the second house, right, which I have. Okay, here, this'll do it. This'll do it fine. In fact, this'll put us in where we want to go next to the signs. Except that I did it landscape, and we can see it pretty much, right? You see Aries?
This is not in the book.
Yes, it is. Page 12. We're jumping ahead a little bit, but I want to get to the planets and what they rule, and it's right here. Well, actually, I remember it. I know that they rule what house. Well, this is an interesting layout right here because it gives a little bit more, and it's really a jumping ahead because this belongs to the signs, and we'll find this interesting too. But what I was trying to get to, and we'll do two things at one time. We already know, and tell me if you don't have it clear, and the front page of the book, by the way, has the signs on the front page, on the cover. It tells you which planets rule what. And I think we just want to go over the Actually, we want to go over what the planets do, right? Just for a minute. We did the houses. But I don't have my transparency for what the planets do, other than I do have how they act when they are dignified and how they act when they are not, and which signs they fall in. But before I get there, what I'm trying to read is off of, no, it's not. Yeah, off of page 6. Okay? Which is, we went through the houses and we wanted to know who ruled the houses. And also it gives you the occupation that is applied to that particular. Where are the planets? Dignified. Okay, anyway. All right, the planets. The sun. The sun rules Leo. This is not going to be in order of necessarily the houses or whatever. The sun rules the Leo, and as we said before, it's the giver of life, vitality, and individuality, right? I got to change this. I got to change this for just one moment. We're going to go over where they fall. If the sun is in a good place in your life, in your chart, you will be, as indicated here, and this chart is on page, no, this got to be 8. Page 8, which has no page number because I couldn't fit it, but that's the other one it doesn't. Page 8.
I looked at 6 and 8.
Well, we need to kind of, yeah, you can look at 8. You look at 8. Because 8 is what's up here. I'm going to read off of 6 so that, I'll read off of 6 and you guys can look at 8 or 6. It doesn't matter. This is 8 that's on the board right here. This gives you their qualities, whether they're in a good place in your life or a bad place. So, the sun rules the 5th house, which is Leo, right? The sun is the giver of life, not to be confused that the sun rises on the ascendant. That just happens to be its trail. But it rules Leo, because, as we understood why, because it's in the middle of the summer. Okay. So it rules Leo, giver of life, vitality, and individuality, and rules the human spirit, the fire of the human spirit, the sun, the sun is. And I thought it was interesting to note that the type of occupations a person would be in based on the planet that rules them. Okay? So the type of occupation one would be in if they are ruled by the sun is a government employment. The moon rules house 2, which is Cancer, right? Determines your emotional nature, impregnation, rules your desires and instincts, right? And the occupation for them is just common employment. It's like, just give me a job. I just need to provide. And that's basically, you know how it is for cancers and nurturers. It's just want to make it through. Mercury determines your intelligence, your reasoning, your ability to learn, your ability, your thinking, your mind, your brain. And it rules Gemini and Virgo, as we already talked about. So this stuff, we kind of like all these stuff, we're just going over it. And occupations of people who have heavy Mercury, or who are ruled by Mercury, and or who have a lot of Mercury in their planet, in their natal chart, they would be working in schools, because a lot of them are teachers, intellectual affairs, and publishing. They're intellects because they're using their brain. They're air signs. They use their brain. So that's where you'll find them. And if they're not there, that's where they need to be, or maybe best fitted to be. That's how it's designed. Venus rules 2 houses, Taurus positions and, thanks, help me out, and Libra. Venus determines your love nature, your pleasure, coalitions, and physical expression. Occupations that people would be in there would be natural occupations, would be entertainment, art, and social functions. Anything that you can display beauty and harmony with, because that's what Venus likes. Mars determines your assertiveness, actions, and dynamic outward energy. Occupations are manufacturing, building, and munitions. Now, Mars is the ruler of Aries. Jupiter determines your idealism, your expansion, your luck and expansion, and Jupiter basically bestows your gifts. Once you find out who you are and you begin to expand, then you receive the gifts that are already, then you recognize the gifts that are already in you. So Jupiter is very benefic in that way. Okay? And then you have, and people who would be working in the proper place there would be religious, legal, financial affairs. They feel more comfortable there. Saturn rules your discipline, retribution, limitations, and obstructions. And that sounds like a bad thing, doesn't it? But it is necessary to be disciplined. It is necessary to have obstructions so that you can see where it is you need what areas you need to work on. Do you need another book here?
Yeah, I do.
Give that to him. It is necessary so that you have to have those disciplines so that you can learn what it is that you need to work on. And it is considered a malefic planet, which we're going to get into right after this description, but it really isn't. Malefic meaning that it is supposedly bad, but I already told you there is no such thing as bad planets. It's just what they do. So then we go to, and people work, the jobs or occupation that fits Saturn will be mining, farming, cement work. Uranus rules change, unpredictability, originality, and altruism. That's Aquarius. Rules Aquarius. Occupations are railroads, aerial, electric industries, or electricians, or anything that has to do with electricity. That's why if you look at the Aquarius glyph, it looks like or electrical waves. It's waves, communication, yes. And then we have Neptune, which rules your inspirations, new ideas, and divinity. Divinity being a spiritual thing, which is where Pisces is under. Occupations are oil and fishing industries, because it would be anything that has to do with the water, because Neptune represents the water, okay? And then Pluto, transformation, spirituality, secrets, illusions, underworld, subconscious, inward energy. Occupations are waste, recycling, and research work. Now, the interesting thing is we know that Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are the higher octaves of. It's real simple. They're the higher octaves of, because everything is...
Venus, Mars.
How did you know? I need you to tell me, how did you know that?
I just remember.
First three planets.
Did I say that earlier?
You said it, remember?
First three planets.
You guys, see that? He remembered. The first three planets. You know, I was doing the study on that, and I said, higher octaves of what? Now it makes sense. They go right back to the first three planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And check this out. You'll see that Pluto, I'm just going to go on the bottom for a minute. Pluto is inward energy, which is transformation. And Mars is outward energy. You see? Now, I will say this to you. I've done studies, and there's other people I've talked to, and sometimes, you'll read books and people have it wrong. Like one book said that didn't do much about Pluto, and so since it didn't know anything about Pluto, it assigned Uranus to Venus, and Neptune to Mercury. And it made sense to me, because Uranus is altruism, which is the higher level of love, and Venus is about love. So I said, that works. And Neptune, too. And it kind of went, because everything intertwines. But then I was reading, and then it made better sense to me, and after I laid it out and saw that that this makes sense, what we're talking about, I also read, with the Mercury, as a young brother said, that's correct, because Venus, Neptune being the higher octave of Venus made a lot of sense, too. And that's what we're getting ready to go through on this chart right here, because when Venus gets to Pisces, it's exalted. And Neptune rules Pisces. Okay?
Okay.
So I had to make those correlations to see whether it made sense. I couldn't just, one person said one thing, another. And then when I looked at what we just saw, you got the 7 planets, and then you got these 3 over here, and they're higher octaves, and I'm thinking, well, what would they be? They fit respectively: Mercury, Venus, Mars, leaving what? Jupiter. Now, Mercury, Venus, and Mars is, like I said, it fine-tunes you on those first 3: your thought, your love nature, and your action. Right? Mercury is your thought, Venus is your love nature, and Mars is your action. So it's like Mercury, Venus, and Mars fine-tunes that before you get your gifts from next sign, Jupiter, right? And if you don't get your gifts, what do you get? You get Saturn kicking you back, saying go back and do it again. Got it? So there's your 7, and your other 3 is 10. And we talked about this before, how our ancestors wrote the Constitution based on 7 and 10. Based on 7 powers, 10 articles. They used the science to, because they didn't use the science, they used the laws of nature, and they applied it. That's what they used. I shouldn't say the science, I gotta stop that. That's what they did. Now, once you get it, it sounds so complicated, but it is so simple. It's so simple. It's meant for you because it is you, it is us. And that's why I'm so glad these children are here too, because like I told the brother earlier, that the children are the ancestors. Don't think they're not. And if you read Khalil Gibran, which I happen to like, he has one on speaking about children, and he tells you they're yours, but they're not yours. They belong to the universe. That they come through you. You're the arrow. You're the bow. And he loves you too. You're loved in the universe. But as he loves the arrow that shoots it, the bow that shoots it, right? You're loved, but you got to understand. And they are the ancestors. And right now, today, when you come to them, if they know it's a sign. They wait for you to say it. As soon as you say it, they got it. Because everybody's had it. They're waiting for you to tell them. And if you don't, that's okay. They'll get it later anyway. But they may suffer, and we have. Okay. Because the only person that could change this is just like what I'm just saying. When you think about, oh man, wow, we wrote the Constitution on 7 and 10. They need to know that. It's like in my day, I would say, well, wait a minute, Mr. History teacher, if the Indians were here when Christopher Colombo got here, how could you discover it, right? Basically, right? But we did that. Can't you imagine now that we actually sat through that? So what's the question today of the children? I have it, I think. If George Washington is the first president of the United States, but yet a no. They say that George Washington is the first president, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, but he was a general, George Washington, before he was the president, right? Mm-hmm. So then what president made him a general? Because all generals are appointed by a president. That's the question the children should be asked today. They teach you. A general is appointed by a president. So what president appointed Washington? Okay. Real nice question. Relative to the Indians, how could they discover if we... But I'll tell you how much trickery is in there. You don't understand. People are actually fretting like this. Mercury must be burning. Almost burn. The sun is burning them, really, because the sun is coming back. That's why you're getting skin. If you read the book of Malachi, the 4th chapter, it says it right in there. Not S-O-N, but S-U-N. The sun. Go home and read it, because it's just read the 4th chapter. There's only 4. Malachi. There's only 4. That's old. That's the last one of the old before it comes out of the old. There's only 4 chapters. Now, I wouldn't do nothing in the new. Really. Not really. No. No. But I hear you. But, the new and revised religion. Re-allegiance yourself to this. No. So what happens, Malachi, it's only 4 chapters. It represents 4 generations, actually. But you are going to be, your mind is going to be blown when you go home tonight. And you open that book and you read chapter 4, and you see that it says, S-U-N of righteousness shall return to burn them up. Take that to your preacher and say, what do you mean by that? It's right there. It is not hidden. It says S-U-N. In this case, they mean the Son, which is the Son of Man. They mean exactly that. So, so we go back and we start thinking, as we were doing last night here, we start thinking, well, wait a minute, you know, back in there they talk about leprosy, and leprosy is the skin. What is it? Leprosy equated today is nothing but a skin disease, and it was acquired from not every time you come out in the sun. You know, it would eat you away. It's cancer. It's skin cancer now, leprosy then. Same thing. So anyway, the sun is coming back, so to take care of it. Yeah, it's interesting, I'll tell you.
It's on many levels. I'm thinking like
It's on every level.
got some vampirism, you know what I mean?
Right, because it's our children. Our children are being devoured. And another thing you think of, and this is another thing, things that make you go, in the V8. If, in fact, you don't save the children, you have no more line. You're done. You don't come back. You can't come back because they're gone. They're gone. That's your posterity. That's you. And that's why, again, going back to the Constitution, it says in the preamble, for our posterity we write this, which is our children's 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 children, forevermore. So, okay, so we got the suns. We got the... You understand the planets a little bit now?
Yes.
Yes.
We do? Good. We're getting to the part you want to go to. I just want to say this to you. Remember, you have a question, sweetie?
Yes.
What?
What are you going to get to the,
It's coming up. About the body parts? Yeah, you're going to like the drawing, too. Okay, hold on. I just want to say this. Now that we got to the point where we understand that that opposites exist, so what is good, what is bad is sometimes really good when people say that, and what is good is really bad. It's relative to where you are in the pole, right, and how you view it. This is the first chart that I did, I think, in the book that shows you dignified, exalted, detrimented, or debilitated, which, you know, I like to use those words because if you see them, you need to know what they mean, so, you know, I put them up there. You know, dignified, of course, detriment meaning trouble. He's at detriment, and then debilitated, and to me that can all be the same thing. But in this, it's 2 different things. A detriment is weakening, and a fall, or a total debilitation, which I didn't put debilitation up there, I'll put fall, is the same as a debilitation. You are totally debilitated. You're done. So they are 2 different things. But what I wanted to show was that here are the, as an example, and you can get to look at this later at your own time, but here's the sun's qualities. Ambitious, honorable, lofty, dignified, loyal, faithful, distinguished, and gallant, right? Or gallant. But if you're at detriment or debilitated, that person's going to act this way. Disdainful, proud, or, you know, vain, domineering, despotic, arrogant, authoritative, and haughty. So the same thing goes through. This is your opposites of how, this is planets. These are how the planets going to act. In there I got the opposites of how cardinal signs will act as well, and fixed immutable. But and I'm naming the signs. Okay. Now the other thing is, it's in the book, but you asked me, so let's do this because I got to get to the body part for the children. Huh?
Well, I'll see the case.
Oh no, it's cool though. But I want to go here because you need a pencil. No. Okay. I want to go here because this is interesting, just for a second here. We all think that, you know, the planets are what they are, and, you know, they do what they do, and everything is copacetic, and it is, but there's some rules. The sun, as I said before, is at home in Leo. right? First of all, it's benefic, right?
Benefit.
Beneficial. That's where that comes from. Beneficial. Meaning it's not mean. It's not malefic or malevolent. I don't know why they put male on that, like aggressive. But like I told you before, that's just the nature. It doesn't make it bad. It's at home and it's strongest in Leo. It becomes at its detriment at the weakened part. Now, it then becomes exalted again, 19 degrees Aries, and it totally falls in 19 degrees Libra. And I told you it falls in Libra because that's the descendant line. If you learn your opposites, you will get this, because if you'll notice, guess where they fall? See where weaken. First place they start to get weak is the opposite of the side. You got it now?
All of us is next to each other.
The opposites are the 180 degree, because, wait a minute, we're talking about a 360 degree wheel, so 180 degree from that, and if you count them, I don't care which direction you go in, you're going to land in the same place. That's where they begin to be weakened. Yes, it's called a reflection. That's called the reflection, just like when you look in the mirror, the reflection. So that's exactly what this means, son, that there's 12 signs, but if you can remember 6, you can remember 12, because you'll remember the opposites, and that's the reflection of the other. And you ever hear people say opposites attract? Okay, this is where it comes from. Right, like magnets, at polar opposites, magnets. So, yes. Yes, they're all together. Yes, they all travel together, right? Yes, they do. That's what we're talking about. So now, again, learn the signs and their opposites, and you can quickly roll through, and it's not that difficult. So they begin to detriment at their opposites. Now you see Mercury, because it rules 2 signs, well, of course it's at home in Gemini and Virgo, but then it's going to be a detriment in Sagittarius and Pisces, okay, which is the opposite, all right? Then they go into getting strengthened again on these signs and completely fall on the opposite of those signs. You got it now? That's the in and out. So let's take it again. Sun is at home in Leo. It begins to be a detriment in Aquarius, which is its opposite, right? Or its 180 degree reflection, I'm sorry. I don't like to say opposite. 180 degree reflection. Remember that, okay? That's like when somebody calls you a name. They really, they sticks and stones, hit, right, and then it deflects off of them. That's the same thing. If someone calls, it's the opposite. If they call you a name, you can say to them, that's 180 degree opposite to you. Meaning whatever they call you goes back to them. Right, and I found that to be true. Exactly, and I'll tell you, I found it to be true with relationships that you have, and that doesn't necessarily mean intimate ones, and you might know this too. And it's an amazing thing to realize, because then you come right out of the rut of that. You come right out of the rut. Please know that usually in a relationship, the person, everything they say to you that you are, trust me, it's what they are. And when you realize it, you begin to feel so. But when you know this, and know these laws of order, you will never have to go there again. You'll know it, you'll see it, because you know it. But isn't it true?
I want to make one comment. One quick comment.
Sure.
I want everybody to hold the comments and questions to the end, so
Yeah.
we can get through all the slides and the whole
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
Because it's getting kind of late.
Yeah,
today.
all right, and I do want to do that. Okay, so this is a great chart to see what I mean about knowing your opposites. This is where it kind of shows you where it's at. So Leo will fall in Aquarius. Begin to be detrimented in Aquarius. It will exalt again or be exalted again, strengthen in Aries, but then in Aries' exact opposite is where it totally falls. This is Leo's opposite, Aquarius, okay? So, we learn that, it kind of helps us. Okay, one other thing, and then we get to the body part. This is the part that the children want. This is the signs. We basically know all of this. The key word is on the very end over here. I am, I have, I think, I feel, I create, I analyze, unite, desire, see, use, know, and believe, right? And if you know Capricorns, you ever know Capricorn people? If they're on the negative part, they use people. But if they're on their negative side, okay? Now, the ruler is self-explanatory. We've got that, and we talked about Mars, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Pluto. We talked about, I believe, the elements. We understand that the elements belong to the signs, right? And that fire and air is complementary, which is why your 180-degree opposite is the best for you, because it is, well, when it reflects you, it's 180 degrees, and it will be the complementary. And then we go to the quality, which is the cardinal, fixed, and mutable, understanding that cardinal people are initiate things, fixed people, or what we might say is stubborn. Mutable people change too much, too flighty, as we might say. The class is here. This class means barren, semi-fruitful, barren, fruitful, or semi-fruitful. And that means in terms of productivity of children, some signs are barren. The sun can be so hot. Aries people, they can almost like burn. They take temperatures higher than the normal person when they get sick. So that can affect your productive. But of course, that has to do with what else is in your sign around you and your other body parts. Semi-fruitful people are not likely to have a lot of children per se, but it depends on what else is in there, what else is going on in the chart. And then barren people are Geminis, and again, that depends, but this is the general outlay. Of course, Cancer is very fruitful because that's the fecundation house, right, with the moon. So of course. And then you go down through there. Your polarity is what we've been talking about. Now, I just want to say something to you. If you have heard masculine signs, and you've heard positive signs and negative signs, and you've also heard masculine, feminine, have you ever heard that? People say, oh, I'm a masculine sign, I'm a feminine sign. Let me just explain to you, it's important. First of all, just remember this. Positive sign versus a negative sign person means, well, it means positive or negative, right? But it's the polarity. It's either positive polarity or negative polarity. How it translates to us is not good or bad in terms of I'm negative and you're positive. It is not that at all. What it means is that I am positive, so I am the outgoing energy or force, and you are the negative, so you are the inward. So if the person who has a positive personality or a positive sign comes into the room and gives off energy, the person who has what we're calling the negative is the person that comes into the room and receives all the energy. They may be very quiet. You may think that they're just, they don't do a lot of movement, they're not outspoken or whatever, but they are taking in the energy. People who are water signs definitely have that quality, especially Pisces. They take in a lot. And people who are intuitive a lot, who have intuition, they come in and they receive the energy from other people, and it really can weaken them and tire them out from receiving so much. So that's what positive and negative equates to in our physical self here, but it's just the polarities. You have to have positive and negative for a currency to work. The masculine and feminine, it's unfortunate I won't say it's unfortunate they assign them. That's a different thing, but they go hand in hand. Actually, it's really not a different thing. It's the same as the positive and negative. It's the outward energy or the inward energy. And that's why I put them in there. If a person is positive, you know that means they're masculine. It's the same thing. That's why I did not make a separate thing for it. But in the terminology, you'll hear or see that. And now you'll know when they say to you positive, that it means you give out energy. And when they say to you negative, that means that you receive the energy. Now you'll know that if they say masculine, they're talking about positive, which is giving out energy, and if they say feminine, they're talking about negative, which is receiving energy, because they go hand in hand. Okay? The type is just explained by the body part, by the symbol. You know, bestial means beast, animal. Well, that's Aries, of course, because he's represented by an animal. So is Taurus. Gemini is considered a human sign and a voice. Mean vocal, which is, you'll find all the air signs are going to have voice because you communicate through air. Communication waves, right? The relationships, so they're going to be air. So then Gemini is our first, actually, duality, but the first human body sign in the zodiac. Then you have Cancer, which is mute. It's funny. You're going to find, I'm going to give you another correlation, quick correlation, that you can learn from. And that's how you can learn by looking at this. This is why I said you really need to have this. All water signs, I'm just going to make sure, all water signs are mute. All air signs are voice, but not necessarily human. Voice, right? All waters are mute. And the bestials are not necessarily the same. The bestials just deal with whether it's an animal sign or not. Mute is Cancer. This is bestial because it's a Leo line. I mean, that's obvious. You can look at that and see. Okay? Voice. So then wait a minute, I'm wrong. All human signs. There you go. Gemini is a human, so it's voice. Virgo is a human, so it's voice. And Aquarius is a human, so it is voice. Okay? Now, Sagittarius, mute is the water sign. All mute are, as I said, the mute are water signs. Aquarius, of course, is considered human because he's a human, he's voice. This is Capricorn, is bestial. Capricorn, if you notice, this has the goat tail on the end. You see in the Capricorn that looks like the goat? That's because it represents man coming out of the water, evolving into animal. Now, Sagittarius represents man coming out of animal, evolving into man, which is why it is half man and half beast. That's why it's bestial and human, and it's a voice because the voice part comes from the top part of it, which belongs to Sagittarius. Okay? Back to the mute water signs. It holds true that they are all the mute signs of the water signs. Now, temperament, bilious meaning outgoing. This is almost the same as cardinal, fixed, mutable. It's all the same, but not really in this case. Bilious means outgoing, nervous. Temperament belongs to Tauruses. I believe the nervous temperatures are going to be the land signs. Yes, all land signs or earth signs have the nervous temperament. Okay? All fire signs have the bilious outgoing because it's fire temperament, and all air signs are sanguine. Sanguine is sort of mellowed, I don't know how to, mellow. Lymphatic is what, again, water signs. You're going to find them as being the lymphatics. They take in a lot. It's like water. Like if you ever had somebody that fills with water, I mean, I'm just making that association. That really is an association here with that. But those two things actually, this is good to understand. This is just a temperament on how the people are. People who are have a nervous temperament are the earth signs. So really, I might need to take that out. Anyway, that's your body part, which we're getting ready to get into, and the key word we already know. We'll go back to the body part right now. Okay. We're going to have to do, just like I thought, aspects next week. But I'm going to show you something, and I need the body part. Here we go. This is the one we want to get into. This is the one that children want to hear about. But before we do, because this has to be continued next week, I think, which I thought it would be, Because now that you've got the foundation, I'm going to show you what you have in your book and give you some explanation of things such as showing you what a conjunction is, meaning there's many planets that are in a sign. But, you know what? I got to show you this one now. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, let's do this real quick, and then we can go over it. Okay, great. This is a conjunction, which is one of the first ones that I put in. This is where conjunction means planets are, conjunction means and. So as you can see, I'm showing on here 2 planets in Pisces in the same degree, and I'm showing 3 planets in Scorpio in different degrees. They're just in the same sign as they were moving. So when you see in your planet, your moon is conjunct Mars, it means it's with Mars. It means it's in the same house. That's all it means, okay? I mean, there's more dialogue to that, but just so that I can just, this is, coming with you, all right? This is the interesting part. This, remember when I said you had elements? You can look at this, the wheel, and you will find, this is a trine. A trine is 120 degrees apart. That means approximately what? What do I have up here? 4 sides apart. Okay? Now, all the same elements are going to be in a trine. Why? Because elements are elements get along with, elements are actually not complementary mixed together. But they get along with each other, and guess what? I don't care where you go, you do 120 degrees, you're going to end up with the same element. So that's a trine. That's all it is. Okay? Square, same thing. Square is, and I don't care where you go, right here we're at Aquarius, which is a fixed sign. Now the squares have the same quality. I mean, I will put a square to every fixed sign there is. I can take and make a square to every mutable sign, but mutables here, mutables here, mutable here, mutable here, and back here again, that's another square. But guess what it contains? It contains mixed elements, and they don't get along. You got it now? The qualities get along because, after all, it takes 3 of them to make a season happen. So, of course, they're not inharmonious within in and of themselves. But the elements have a problem. So now people say, oh, I'm on my square. Do you know what being on your square really means? It's like you go to the courtroom and say, you better go there and stand on your square because you're going to be challenged. Because the square brings challenge. So in your chart, if there is a planet that is 90 degrees away from you, it is squared to you. That's all that means. Well, not that's all that means, but, it's simplified now, isn't it? That means you're going to have a little bit of a problem. And now you got to figure out by the nature of the planets, which you learn, who's what. If it's Mars and Venus, Mars is going to be Venus up, as an example, okay? So that's what trine is. That's what square is. This is what conjunction is. We did that one inside the same one, inside the same planet. And the rest of them are just, minor, so I didn't draw them out, but they're in the book, and I explained to you on there exactly what it means in terms of being in how it will affect, or how it does affect you. Okay, we're rolling this along. I think we are at the fun part. Yeah, this is good. You're gonna like this. And I keep saying and waiting for the one last thing that I do need to make clear that's in your book. Okay, this is important. That's coming. Now, I want to make a correction. I did in your book, I have the south node and north node incorrect. Please correct it. South node of the moon goes up, north node of the moon goes down. Last page, 26, I believe, 27. Last page before Yeah, it's the last page, not last page, sorry. It's 21, it's just glyphs of signs and planets. However, I also will say that not all of the glyphs are on there in your book that I have on here. It's only 3 of them that are on here. The parallel, the semi-sextile, and the semi-square. All of the descriptions of what they are in the book. Every last one of them that describes what it is. However, those last 3 I didn't put on. They're minor anyway, but I just put it on this particular layout. Please, what's different is this right here. The south node, the symbol I have in the book, I reversed them when I...
Oh,
okay, please reverse those to make it right. I don't want anybody to think that you don't know. And then you say you got it from me. I didn't know. I do know. I just made the mistake, and please correct it. The reason I just put these signs up here like this, like all of these are the aspects, and these are the symbols for them, because once you get into this and start learning, it's a lot of information. So rather than you writing it all out, you use symbols, such as, which I didn't do, I'm going to do one. You would put, here's the sign for the moon. I would draw one that would say moon. If it conjunct, I'd take this and put it next to it, right? And then I would use this sign for Mercury. This doesn't come out right. It came out different on mine. Anyway, I would use a sign for Mercury. See, this doesn't look like this in your book, because your book has it in the right, has it up higher. This one came out wrong. So I would use a sign for Mercury saying moon conjunct Mercury. You see it all the time. I mean, Mercury. That's what the glyphs mean. That's all that they mean. Okay? Or moon trine.
So those are like the operations and those like
Yes.
characters and numbers.
Yes, exactly. I see the sister shaking her head. It was like made to be so...
I've been looking at this stuff for a long time, but it's like real hard.
Fine. And as far as these I'm gonna blow up. I don't even want to get into it, but it's like, well, how do these come? I've read about, I think it's an ancestral, and someone had talked to me about this too, so I kind of collaborated with them. Ancestral signs of what the planets are. These are the signs of the planets. Who wrote them? It may be from even a different whole language, just like you're going to put this together. They put something together. So that's all that it is.
South and North Node.
Oh, South and North Node, most important. Don't have, why didn't I leave that on there? I didn't put it on there, but that's okay. This last page, I got to tell you something. You can do your whole chart. Now do you understand why your natal chart is important? Okay? About the houses. Because in houses that affect. You want to go to page, this is very important. And that's why I kind of put it in at the last minute. Because not a lot of known information about this. The South Node and North Node on the page that I have your glyph. Same page you're looking at your glyph. On the bottom it says one final important aspect. You see that? Okay. The moon's nodes are referred to as North Node and South Node, also called Dragon's Head, which is the South Node, and Dragon's Tail, which is the North Node. The locations of the nodes indicate your karmic life. This is probably one of the most important ones in here. The North Node is considered unfavorable because it contains or represents the lessons that have been learned in your past lives, whether you remember them or not. Since these lessons have already been lived and learned, it could be very easy for you to fall back into them because you've been there kind of before, and you may become comfortable with that. The South Node is favorable and represents the highest areas of expression that you can reach. Now, the reason is that the North Node shows what you had to learn last time, so obviously once you learn it, you need to be moving on.
Right.
So, what?
Isn't the North Node what you're looking towards, and the South Node is what you were in the past life?
No, South is always closer to the head of heaven. It's reverse. It's reverse. The North Node is considered the unfavorable one. That's your old stuff. Okay? Okay. Why, you read it somewhere differently?
Yeah, I will book on that, like, called Astrology, Astrology for the Soul by Ben Stiller.
I got the book right here, too, by Max Hendel. You might, yeah, okay. But it's funny that no one ever asked me, and I guess we all understand, because I sure asked the question about why the southern hemisphere is up.
Yeah, I was waiting.
You are? Well, then I'm going to save you a question and answer and get to the last thing. Okay, so no, this is the way that it goes. It's that way. Okay. As I said before, this is maybe the most important aspect because it's about your lessons that you've already learned and you want to make sure you don't want to go back there. So one of the more important aspects. But you don't find too much information on it. You have a book on it in complete detail? Yeah, what's it called?
Astrology for the Soul by Ben Stiller.
Is it recent?
Yeah.
Can you, when you're done, would you write that down? Because I have looked at all the books that you're seeing in there. There's something on it in terms of if your south node is in Taurus, this is what it means. But I don't mean that. I mean, okay, yeah. I mean real descriptive. And of course, people may now be starting to do that too, to write more of that. Okay, so did we get the glyphs? Couldn't leave without giving you the glyphs because that's what you see all the time. These glyphs, they just represent the aspects. Okay, is this the part you wanted? The colorful lady and house. All right, this is our list. Right. Okay, now. Right. I don't know if you've read that. I don't know if you've already read anything on this as we were going through. Some of you were at the break. But understanding, I mean, what I wrote there about the health, you know, when you write something, you can't recite it the same way, and I don't want to read it outright, but it's very interesting. In fact, my friend here already had me talk about eating meat earlier, which is inside of this paragraph. The interesting thing about the body, this I call the physical zodiac, is that we've seen in our review what parts of the body. Did we review what we already know that every sign governs a certain part of the body. Okay, so we talked about that. So these are the parts of the body that they govern. Now what you'll notice is, if you have an ailment in your body, the symptom to that ailment is going to show up in the 180-degree polar reflection. Okay? Remember, this is reflection. So, I'll give you an example, a good one. Everybody can relate to this because, well, we can hardly see that because I got it in yellow, but there's Leo, the heart, right? Its 100-degree polar opposite is Aquarius, the ankles. Everybody you know that has heart problems has swollen ankles. Guaranteed. Aries, the head, kidney, Libra, it's opposite. These are connected. I mean, you know, you may not have ever had a kidney infection, so you might not be able to relate, but I have done some research and I know some people who have and whatever. It is related. You have a headache and may have to change your eye prescription if you have a kidney infection. That's how extremely related they are. Also, people say, have you ever heard people say that when you have a headache to drink water? That's because they're talking about the kidneys. The kidneys are your flushing system. Right? Okay? Right. To sanitize your liquids in your body. That's right. So there is your correlation. Now the problem is, now give you Taurus. Taurus is the throat, right? And Scorpio, the genitals. Proof? When a young man becomes in his puberty, right, and developing, he develops an Adam's apple. And his voice starts to change. 1 minute it's high, next minute it's low, because they are connected. Now the problem is that when you go to the doctor, they're going to give you a remedy for the symptom, but not the ailment, and that's why you're out here at the drug dealer, and I don't mean the obscure one on the corner, I mean the one that says drugstore, all the time trying to figure out what's up. They've made it's just making money off of it now. It's a big deal because they couldn't figure it out. So divinely, it is already figured out. Listen to your body. It's telling you. It is connected. If you were to take now here's an interesting part. We have the north part from Aries to Libra, and then this is considered the south. If you were to fold your body into half, it would be right there at the mid, and what's there but the scales, the balance. It's divinely done. Okay? So, start dealing with your own symptoms that you feel. Now, as far as, remedies for it, with, Mother Earth has all the things you need. All the things you need for the corrections that are wrong in your body. We all know that. Anybody who's read the Quran or anything, or just into health holistically, knows this. Right? So, I'm going to do a book. I'm going to collaborate with a herbalist, and we're going to get the cures out. Because right now, so many of our people cannot afford proper health care while they don't, Mother Earth, it's there. It's right there. And if you just get the seed, you can grow it in your own kitchen. But we've got to know it. And then once you know it, as I said before, you become it. And there's no ritual necessary for anything. A ritual is taking a bath. That's a ritual. Just doing that. A ritual is getting up in the morning and having a glass of water every day. I don't want to say religiously, but all the time. That's a ritual. A ritual is getting up and having breakfast. If breaking the fast. That's a ritual. We are so into chasing after these things. Right. Because it becomes part of you, just like this will become part of you. And you don't have to do a ritual because when you walk, you're walking in it. You are it. You follow me? Yeah, it's there. And by the way, if you get up in the morning and do drink a glass of water, it'll put you straight. It'll put you straight. It's very good. It'll move, get everything going. It'll get everything going. So, I think I need to know, it's clear once you know about the body parts, they're all connected. We talked about Virgo, and it's just so weird because you would never think that if my feet start hurting, it means I got a bad stomach. But it's true.
And by the same token, to my stomach hurts, it starts to feet.
Well, everything ends in the feet anyway, and you can massage it through there. But you'll notice Pisces people, they either got some bad feet or they got great feet, most of them. But everything is in their feet. Everything is telltale there. Libras, it's their kidneys. You have stress. If you have stress in your life, what this means is this is the part of the body that is likely to be affected. Now, as far as getting into, some other things, we just did the elementary basics here, but we can get into some things where you can, like I said, you can know how many times not how many times. It's not a fortune-telling thing. It's just a directory of your blueprint, and it'll tell you by finding out what signs are in certain places, like your moon, your sun, and your ascendant determine your health. So that means find out what's in your moon, what's your sun, what's your ascendant, and look at those and see what body part those planets rule. Because, see, I did it by sign here, but on the page previous it shows you by planet, because usually it correlates. And then find out what body part that is, and that's likely to be where you will experience trouble. Okay? Now, I think we've covered everything, and we have a minute for questions?
About half hour.
Okay. Should I cut this off then? I guess I'll cut this off.
I can't think of no questions.
I have questions.
Yes. Ooh, that light is bright over there, buddy. Yes.
Birth chart.
Natal chart.
Natal chart. Birth, natal, the same that I talk about?
Yes.
Conception, or when you was actually giving birth. Is there a different, or what is the difference?
Yes. Okay. Because you already are aware that that when you are conceived, that the conception of you is prior to you, of course, coming out.
Correct.
Right. The cosmos was happening then. If we, and I'm going to answer your question like this, we used to do family planning which was planning to have our children by astrological accounts. One of the things I forgot to mention, but I will real quick right now because this applies, is if you look at the chart that I had up and I told you to count every other sign, that was but I forgot to tell you the 3 signs in front of you are the signs or the people that you're going to be attracted to naturally. And that is because while in the womb, you didn't get the influences of those signs.
You come out 9 months.
So you're going to find yourself, and this is tried and true, every person who I have said that to, because you never thought about it before, will start thinking, that's who my friends are. Yeah, well, that's who I'm attracted to. And sometimes it's fatal attractions or whatever, but you must have what they have, right? You must have what they have because you're missing it. There is something that we're going to the herbal book, and that is cellular tissue salts. Cellular tissue salts. There only exists 12 in the world. What does that tell you? They belong to each month of the year, the year. And there's salts, or the salts of the earth, which belong in the earth, which means that you should take the salts, at least take the salts of the 3 in front of you every day. That's a good idea. After you. Well, it depends on which yes, after you, yes. But at the point in the womb is behind you, but after you. So now, when you are born, what we're looking at is there's a snapshot taken. The cosmos are always moving. They're always moving. They didn't stop moving when we were born. But when we were born,
kommen von weit her. In diesem Jahr aus 13 Ländern Europas.
Direct effect on you and the makeup of you. So I would say to you that it was the moment you took breath of air here. That's what this is based on. Because twins can be born, and a lot of people will say, well, how come they act differently? Because the ascendant moves every 4 minutes. And the ascendant is what really people see when they see you. They don't see your general characteristic sign. They see your ascendant, your personal self, your personality. Your sun sign determines your characteristics, but your ascendant determines your personality and what most people will see. So, it would be the moment that you took breath of air here.
So for those premature babies, let's say who come out 5, 6, for the premature babies who come out 5 and 6 months, they should be taking all those cellular salts that they missed?
And they'd be fine. And they'd be fine. Yes. Yes. And if you were a doctor, and I had to come to your house in my neighborhood to find out, how to fix my situation with my premature child, that's what you tell them. And that's what they do. I mean, the intake of it would be, different, but you understand. Yes. 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 Cell salts are usually at any health food store. But cell salts is what we call them by short. CELL, cellular tissue salt. Is health food.
Where do they get them from?
Out of the earth, the salts of the earth. Haven't you ever heard of salt?
Cellular salt?
Because it's organic. It's cellular. It rebuilds your cells inside the word. Have you ever? They're minerals, right?
Okay.
We call them the salts of the earth.
Okay.
We used to work for the salts of the earth. Now we work for salaries instead of salts. SALT. Okay.
Question.
Because we needed those. We needed those additional, okay? And I'm saying to you, look at the 3 and 4, but aside from the cellular tissue salt, look at the people, because, for instance, back to family planning was actually using astrology to have a home that was filled with harmony and children and people who got along. Really. Because, you can look at the chart and find out whether your child is going to run away from you or not, because there's nothing there for them, it appears. But, really, and that's what children do. They grow up and they get out because there is nothing there for them, for their growth, okay, inherently. You can have or you can have a house full of mothers, also can have a child that, one of the 3 in front is the mother or the father. That was what family planning was. And that was why people could choose and pick the mates when they did back in royal days, and they said, oh, you've chosen my child, you've chosen who I'm going to marry. That's why, because natural law is exacting and never failing.
They could do it.
Never failing. And inherently what you're looking for, particularly in a mate, is your complement. And you're happy.
So your opposite is your compliment.
Absolutely. Your reflection.
It's reflection. So when I'm weak, she's strong in, and vice versa.
Right. Right. She has it. Yes. Yes, you have a question. Yes, sweetheart. Hi.
Is it on? Look at this. Is it on?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
Can two people be born on the same day? Like, if somebody was born first, then another person was born a minute, in 1 minute.
Yes. Can they be different? Is that the question?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And you know why? Because they're born the same day, but the ascendant sign, they can be different and act different, right? And seem to act different because the ascendant sign, which is the sign that's on the horizon, changes very quickly, like every 4 minutes it changes. So let's say you were born and then a minute later is when it changed. So now this person, like a twin, which I was beginning to say earlier, can be different because the ascendant sign that rules him has changed. Okay? Ascendant sign is very powerful. It's a life ruler. Yeah.
Look, there's a sign up there.
There is the, very good. You just noticed it. Look at that. There's the direction of the sun right there on the Buddha. No, it's not. That's the right direction. That is definitely the right direction. That is exactly what I have here. He is, and now see, that's beautiful. He is in the right direction. Yes, that is the exact right direction here. You should be able to look at that and make that a circle and know that it starts at the ascendant, goes down, which is really up.
Oh, yeah.
See?
It's going the same way.
It is. So that is showing you life. That is showing you the direction of the sun. The sun gives you life.
Like that's an evil sign.
There they have you thinking it's some evil occult side when it really is the direction of life.
That answers my question.
Your question was?
Why was north
Oh,
the bottom? But
I love that.
answered it because you said that's the direction.
No, it's a little bit deeper than that. That is the direction. But I'm saying in it, we're saying that the sun is going to the south, right?
No, north was at the
I mean to the north, and north is at the bottom, and south is at the top. But you know north to be at the top, reverse. Right. Let me explain that. Reflection. If you were the heavens, right? Then everything would be reversed because you're looking down.
Like the way your eyes work, they see.
Yeah. In other words, I'm up here. I'm Aries up here. And if you could stand up here with me, we're here. And we are southeast. Okay, we're going to do it correctly. I'm going to stand the way you are. We are north, south, east, and west. Right? And you stand there and be north, south, east, and west. But if I turn this way, right? See the reflection? It's not the same direction. My right is your left. Okay, let me try it. I know.
I'm with you, but
I know. You gotta click it.
yeah.
Okay, it's hard to. Okay, it's up in the sky,
Right.
and we're gonna be up there with it, looking down.
Okay, so we're not looking up.
It's looking.
Okay. All right.
Right now, you and I are in the sky, and we're gonna be right. We're gonna have north, south, east, and west. Correctly. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I can.
Correctly?
All right, correctly. You would have north, south, east, and west, right? Right? This is up in the sky. This is in the heavens. Once you bring it down, how do I do this? Okay, we're up here with this in the right way.
And flip it around.
Yeah, but I want to try to explain it so we can get it. It's a reflection. So the reflection would be, we'd have to walk over here. How do we do this?
kind of like when you're looking at something in water.
Yeah, a reflection. Because when you look at something in a mirror or water, it reverses it. So if it's north, south, east, and west, and I'm up in the sky, and you're down there looking up at me, you can't be in the same north, south, east, and west I'm in, even though you are, but visually you're not. You follow me? So visually, if I'm here like this, north, south, east, and west, and you turn like this, your north, south, east, and west is it's the reflection. Okay? And that's a good question because it took me a minute. I was trying, as I said, I put Aries everywhere until I find out.
And then one more question. In any of your, I'll say it now. In any of your studies, have you found anything in astrology relating to Sirius B?
Sirius B. That was the North.
That was the start at the Dogon.
Dogon tribe that they came from. But I think Sirius B, isn't that really the North Star?
They thought it was one star, but it's actually two. I don't know.
Two stars, so one white dwarf and another one. They're going around each other.
You're going to find a lot of stars that are in the sky. A lot. I mean,
the reason I'm asking is because, and I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard something that instead of the sun being the center of the universe, that Sirius B is actually the center of the universe and everything rotates around it. So I'm just wondering if you had heard anything.
I bet you what? I bet you you're right. That's right, the part that starts it. Let's say this is us, our solar system with everything that we got going on, and we know that the earth doesn't really go around the sun, blah, 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 right? What makes you think that there isn't something else like this, or going this way? Or that's why, or over here. Oh, absolutely. But in this solar system, this is what affects us. You know, we can go there. Oh, see, now we're starting to think off the planet. It makes some sense here. Because right in Genesis, in the Bible, it talks about the Orion, and it talks about Pleiades. King James, same chick? King James. Huh? Right, exactly. It's right there in there. And then they skip over it. So yes. Absolutely. In fact, you know, I had someone tell me about, you know how they used to say that the cataclysmic things would happen every so many years? Yeah. Well, that might be because there's some other planet that only comes every so many years. In fact, I'm sure that that's what it is. You know, and they've got a planet now that's coming back, Nibiru or Nibiru or different explanations. And that's what the space, remember they told you they were building a space station off of the moon or Mars? Was it Moon? Believe me, when they told you they were building it, it was already done. First of all, we understand that part. Because they really think that we have really been asleep. And not just that the whole general public, because it was already done. Just a second, sweetie. Already done when they mentioned it. Already done. Why were they up there? I believe it was Jupiter. At that time, when we had that activity about Jupiter, right? You know, they started talking about Jupiter and how expansive it is. And Nibiru is, just a second, Nibiru is on its way back, if that's the planet name, right? Because there's many names for it. Many names. You know, like what was Earth was called? Well, yeah, terrestrial. No, I mean, I'm just saying there's many names that you'll find for the different planets and places, actually, especially if you go through Egyptian. Yeah, Marduk is another one. You see what I'm saying? All similar. But you know what? Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. Know about that. Because I don't know their relationship to the other planets that are out there, but it is infinite. And yes, I would say to you, absolutely, there's other places. I know that yeah. And when you read what I told you about the Book of Thomas, he's talking about the creation of these other places. It's even in there where they're saying that, it's really interesting, where they're saying that the child that was conceived by the woman Sophia, okay, that was hideous because she intermingled with, it's all symbolic, intermingled with the wrong and out of authority and had this baby, and the baby was so horrible that she tried to hide him in the clouds, and then he, who had the light of the mother, which was pure, right, started realizing that, you know, he was hidden away, but as he grew, he realized he had a light that nobody else had. He had the light. And then when he would go around the people that had light, he would dim their light, because he was half and half, you know. And then when he would go around the people who had no light, he would give them light. So he's the man, right? And he then, being vain, decided to create creations, you know, to make copies of the realm, they called it, or excuse me, in the book it says copies of the real, not the realm, copies of the real. And he made all these universes. Now, I'm just saying, this is what we read, right? So he made all of these copies of the real, right? Now, but they weren't perfect. They weren't right. And he couldn't create life. He could not do that. So, long story short, at some point, you know, they said, Mother, and this is in the book of Thomas, go down to this realm just above your son, and you go and you get him and you fix it. That's what's in the book of Thomas. All symbolic. And then,
Book of Thomas, pull it up. Yeah.
That book ain't in the Bible. No.
oh no, it's called The Secret Teachings of Jesus. There's 4 books in there, John, James, and Thomas. Very good books. So Thomas is just about the creations of universes, really. You know, that's what the symbolic. But the most interesting thing that I wanted to point out with Thomas is, so this is where the story goes, and this is all pre-Genesis now, all pre-Genesis. So then,
The Malachi also you spoke about earlier?
yes, okay, fine. I'm going to have somebody read that. It's very short. So then he, in his powers, with his mother's light, thinking he's the man, right, because he lightens up people and dims others, he decides he's going to create these different universes. And so he did. And so I say that they say that the ruler of this universe is the devil. That's what they say. You know, which universe did he create? Are there some universes out there? And this is where they get, this is a question, food for thought. And this is where they get these different types of beings that are on other planets from what was created by this situation? You know? So, absolutely, absolutely. I have a question, and then I'm going to, go ahead.
The aspect of with the phenomenon of black holes and stuff, does that play any part in anything that we've been
Traveling out of one portal to another, one place to another, the black hole, and time. And that's been going on for a long time. I mean, what's this guy's name? I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Had people that were melded into ships. What's his name? Did you study that? You know, trying to do time warps and black holes and Philadelphia Experience, one of them.
Excuse me.
So, yes.
When you was drawing on that, did you mean going places?
Yes. I meant stars and planets and universes, and the stars and planets traveling through the universes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay? Huh? Tesla. That's it. Right. Tesla did so. There is one thing. Where did your brother go? The Leo. Oh. You want me to read this?
I'll read it.
I want you to elaborate. Did you get to talk about the...
Okay, let's do this. Malachi chapter 4. Okay.
I didn't read it.
It's not in here? Oh, there it is right there. Okay. Yeah, I want you to read it. Okay?
Which part?
I'll show you. This is Malachi chapter 4, right here to here. Okay?
Okay. So read it to the end, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, son.
Okay. For behold, the day comes that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud ye and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that comes shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that shall leave them neither root nor branch. But into But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as cows of the stall. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
Absolutely. Now, before you hang it up, boy, you read this, how is this sentence? Shall the
S-U-N.
of what?
Righteousness.
Okay, so read that again, just that one part. But
unto you that fear my name shall the S-U-N of righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as cows of the stall.
Okay. He wants to get on the camera. You know how? There you go. So he wants to see that it says S-U-N. Can we point it out to him?
Can you see it?
Right here.
S-U-N.
Bring it closer. Okay? So. Huh? What can I say?
Not that close, Tiamba. Just close enough so that he can see it.
You know anything about the sun, the earth going in, eventually going to go into the sun, and all the planets going into the sun?
That was nice.
You already know Queen Val Harry?
Yes, I have. Yes,
Okay.
I've gone to some of her classes, yes.
Did that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me in the fact that everything is in perpetual motion at all times. And the black hole, like he's talking about, that is tied in to the constant movement.
Yeah, because it do make sense.
It
like
does.
As above, so below, corresponding. I mean, because that's what's happening in the galaxy, from my understanding.
Yes.
That's what the center of all these black holes. I mean, the black holes is the center of all these galaxies. So it seemed like it would stand to reason that these star systems is microcosms of a galaxy. I mean, that they actually be getting pulled in.
And
new planets being, she's saying how new planets are being
formed. They're taking another position, like the Earth is going to be where Mars is.
No, actually they say Venus is.
Well, I'm sorry, where Venus is.
Right.
But there was also showed signs that there was life on Mars before. You see, you know that. So, yes, that does make sense. And here's what we need to be concerned about. If that be the case, that we are also going to shift and go off the planet. And in order to do that, you need to have the principles of law and order for wherever you go, however you get there.
That was my understanding. She was saying how at one time Venus had the water, and as they came closer to the sun, the water evaporates and goes out into space and gets caught by the next strongest gravitational force, which is the planet. And that's what she's saying. That's supposed to be happening to Mars, in between here and Mars. And how the reason what brought me even thinking about that was just talking about the sun will get rid of people who are not right. You know, who are not in tune. So.
Oh, absolutely. And you've heard people say that, you know, the end of the days is going to be by fire. Isn't that what they say?
Right.
And you know what? It's another one of those, what's the biggest fire you know? The sun. And what is it doing? It's coming closer to the earth, or the earth closer to it. Every year. Remember a few years ago, people were actually burning and or dying from too much suffocation? Oh yeah, Chicago, they were dropping from heat exhaust. Oh, well, I wasn't talking about spontaneous combustion, but that's one I'm talking about. During the time, Philly, everywhere, from the heat. From the heat, people were dying. They couldn't take that level of heat because the sun is coming closer, and as it comes closer, as it says, as the young man just wrote, the Son of Righteousness will take care of it, which means it's all in nature. So it really doesn't matter what someone has done, or it does matter, but you understand the just is coming through nature anyway. It's coming. It's already happening. That's part of the evidence. You know, evident of that is that these people you know, the kids that can't take the sun. And so now, you and I, though, if we don't eat right, and if we don't sleep right, and if we're not in tune, and if we don't take care of ourselves, then we too shall perish through the sun.
Can you break down Superman? You said something about the symbol without the symbol.
Oh, yeah. Well, I need the other symbol, really, because this is, if you ever see this is the sign of Mercury, right? They sometimes, in medical, they definitely have the snake on there, and this is it, incomplete. I think they have something else on the top. But this is what they use in hospitals and for the sign of medicine, when it's actually the sign of Mercury. And sometimes you'll see Mercury and he'll have wings on his feet, the messenger, because he's also in charge of Gemini, which is an air sign, which is communication. He's in charge of communication and thought, and also health. So this is why they use this sign in the medical world. There's a lot of signs. You should see all the signs on your card, like Toyota. That's I think that's the symbol of Taurus, right? And then you have infinity, which is just, you know, that's kind of numerology. That's the number 8 laid down. You know, you have Mercedes, which actually takes the zodiac and cuts it from 12 o'clock and then goes this way, which they also use. Michael Jordan doing that. That figure of Michael Jordan is nothing. Yeah? What? Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know. Well, I didn't bring those with me.
You got any Virgo type sign?
Well, Virgo was ruled by
Taurus sign.
No, where's Virgo? What's Virgo?
All the ones you know, cartoons, you can remember how to draw.
I can give them to you. I can give them to you another time. I do have them.
I mean, since you said that.
Well, okay, this is Audi. Is it Audi that has the 8, the numerology, the Audi sign?
Audi got
like
little circles,
four energy, like the
Like the Olympic sign, but all across.
Yeah, it's the 2 8s.
No,
I'm doing it wrong.
Go ahead, do it.
I'm doing it wrong. Yeah, you got it.
Oh, yeah, that's how it
That's it.
Okay.
That's infinity. Or that's Audi. This is infinity.
Yeah.
But that's still the 2 8s laying down too. Right. Also, we have this. We have Taurus cars. Toyota, which is Taurus. We have, what I was talking about was this.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that's also peace, but that's Mercedes, right? That's where they got the peace sign from. And what sign would that be? That would be,
That's the triangle. That's the triangle.
I'm not sure which one.
Oh, that's the, no, ain't the car. You got 4.
No, it's the triangle, ain't it?
Yeah, this is the one. This is Michael Jordan.
How does it relate to the zodiac?
Yeah, I'm not.
Michael Jordan got 5 points still look like.
Does
He
he?
be like, it ain't like this, he like this. But he got a head too, don't he? Yeah, I guess, yeah, you're right.
They're the 3 fire signs.
3 fire signs.
Yep. See, if you know, this is what's interesting about this. Let me show you something. This is what's interesting about this whole wheel. Now I can't draw that well as I can on the computer, but if you took any of these signs that are of the same element, and you'll see the triangle. I'm just gonna do this because I'm just gonna assume the positions and do this. Then I take the next one, and oh boy, I'm probably gonna mess this up. And I do that, right? And then are you following me now? Yeah. And I do.
That is like a sun.
Those are just the connections of all the elements. Then, remember the spirograph games? Yeah, okay. Then I take and I match up the squares, right? Or not the squares, all of the signs of the same, the cardinals, the fixed, and the mutables. So then I will go and I'll go here, and I'll make another square as I attach them. And then I need to do another square, but Yeah, I could do another color, but I don't know where to put the square at. I think it's here. No, it can't be there. It would be here. It would be right here. Something like this. Something like this. Something like that. I know it's going to mess something up. But are you feeling what I'm saying? And this is how all of it. I mean, I did the Toyota. I'm trying to think there's another one that was so much. Well, Toyota's obvious with the Taurus. Oh, they got the truck called the Aries Ram. Dodge Ram. I mean, they just got the Ram on there. But you'll notice when you look at the glyphs of these, that's the face. That's a face. They govern the face, right? And this is
Anything for Cancer?
Cancer. Oh yeah, Cancer. Cancer is this is the glyph for Cancer. This is the crab. But you mean did I use anything? Yeah. You know what? Something you might want to look into, Noah, since you do the subliminal stuff, because this would be under that. Why don't I just give you? I have a sheet of them, and I'll just give you the sheet. Okay. Yes.
Just the car model thing, the symbols for the cars, are taking the symbols for that. Do you think the people who had that symbol might drive that kind of car?
You know what? They might be, one of the reasons they do that is just hoping it's about numbers and getting people to buy a car. They're trying to do is sell the car, really. And they're selling the car based on your science, but astrology and the symbols. Selling it back to you. So it's very possible that someone may be automatically drawn to their symbol, whether they're aware of it or not, subconsciously. Subliminally. But aside from that, the fact that they use the psychology of the meaning and the nature of one of the signs or planets or whatever to sell back to you something, and you don't even recognize it. The fact that they're even using it, it shows you the power of it. Why aren't they using anything else? So that's what we have to begin to look at, that these things that belong to us, that we once knew and applied in our daily life, are being used by other people and not us. And we need to get back into it. And it'll feel real good. You're interested? You like the astrology? You think maybe? All right. Well, I'll be here next Sunday. Okay? All right. Okay. Close out. Good night.